Emergency teams remain on high alert in Cape Town, where heavy downpours have caused massive flooding and a trail of destruction. The Weather Service has issued an orange 6-level warning, meaning more disruptive rain is set to continue today and tomorrow. It's already wreaked havoc on the roads and caused some structural damage. So how is the city responding to some of these developments? Let's try to get the details for you from Disaster Risk Management Officer Sonica Lategan, who joins us now via our telephone line. Sonica, it's great to have you on the program. Thanks so much indeed for making time to speak to us. I mean, we've got reporters on the ground speaking of an all too familiar sight, but it seems this time around the damage stretches way further than it ever has.
Good morning, and good morning to the listeners as well. Yes, so there has been extensive damage relating to the rain that we have received, but that is mainly because the city of Cape Town is prone to floods because it's in a low-lying area, and it takes long for water to subside. But the other challenge is also littering in residential areas, which is blocking drains, and also the amount of rain that we've received over the last 2 weeks has just aided in this problem that we're having now.
Yeah. I mean, what are you able to tell us about any kind of casualties that may exist at this stage? I mean, the visuals we're showing and many of the reports we've received are around structural damage, but how are humans faring?
So, some of the rivers within the city has burst its banks. There were no casualties that has been reported, but we have received reports of people that had to be evacuated, especially from the Case Caravan Park in Strand, and then also people or students from the St. Paul's Primary School in Fora also had to be evacuated.
Right. I mean, you've already mentioned to us that, you know, parts of the city is very prone or are very prone to flooding. The question, I suppose, is, are we getting any better at managing this?
Yes, so the city is, they put together a winter readiness task team, which consists of engineers and also your roads and infrastructure management teams, your stormwater and wastewater, water and sanitation management teams, and they're also together and they plan how to approach this flooding season that we have. And they actually started in February already with their planning, and they went out to clear the drainage systems, the stormwater drainage system up front, and then also awareness within the high prone areas. We do a lot of awareness going into the areas, doing door-to-door campaigning, making the residents aware, and also giving them tips on how to prevent flooding, and if there is flooding incidences, how they should handle it. So there's a lot of work that the city has put into this awareness within the community, because we know that for the flooding season it is a big problem for the city.
Sonica Lategan is an official with the City of Cape Town's disaster management team. For now, Sonica, thanks very much indeed for that update. Let's stay with the story, get you a sense of how it's looking on the ground. Ati Tongana is still watching these developments for us and joins us once again from Khayelitsha, where, Ati, I understand even as we speak now, there's signs of more rain.
Indeed, Ayanda, there's signs of more rain. We're starting to feel the raindrops on us as we continue to try and show you, Ayanda, the impact of the disruptive rainfall that the South African Weather Service warned residents in and around Cape Town of. I'm just going to see if my colleague can show you this street, which is obviously, as you see, filled with a lot of rainwater. The drains are blocked. This is site B of Khayelitsha, and this is one of the areas here in Khayelitsha which normally get affected whenever these disruptive rains happen during the winter season. And of course, it is a time that residents are very aware of the fact that this is how the picture will look like, because this is a flood-prone area. And as I've said to you, Ayanda, it's an all too familiar scene. It's a situation that happens every single winter, and the residents are obviously at this stage very much used to it. So it's not just informal settlements, it is also formal structures where you see streets filled with water. We were looking at young children trying to get to school, and so what they have to do in order to avoid being drenched in the water, they have to go via the back routes of these houses. They have to just try and track and trace their way through just to avoid being affected. So it's quite difficult to say the least. But I want to bring in a local here who says, of course, this is very familiar, Sisini Qhelile, but what do you think needs to be done, because this happens every single year and every time it rains?
Do I have to speak my language?
You can freely speak your home language.
Okay, guess it's umasipala have to dig down. They have to bajonge what is going on, because the fact that they bring that truck, they come to drain the water, the man's is just for that moment. Bangayenza ekseni, but late if you get net uzophinda kugcwale amanzi, meaning that into ingxaki lapha ngaphansi, which is going to asikwazi kuyicacisa uba kwenzeka ntoni kanye kanye. You understand? Because it doesn't matter ubana imvula inintsi kangakanani, noba imvula inintsanga, noba as much as banje qha kuye kwakho imvula ewileyo kuzaba khona amanzi.
Nenza njani nina? How do you keep your community clean? How do you ensure that it drain abantwana balahle amaphepha, izinto ezinjalo ezingabangela uba your drainage system to be blocked? What do you do as residents to try and avoid that?
No, sister, ndifuna uphosa. Yabona njengangoku kuba kunje. Xana komile siyachayela. We make sure into yobana siyachayela. We even have a guy eyake yazama yavula apha ufuna ujonga uba kwenzeka ntoni. But xa efika evula apha ngaphansi kugcwele nje amanzi nje. Pha phansi akukho mhlaba, akukho dry, akho nto akwazi ukuyibona. Wabukhupha bonke ubumdaka. So as a community niyo lento siyenzayo kuba siyazama uba masiclean every time xa kugqiba ukunetha siyaclean.
Do you get a quick response from the municipality when you do report this kind of situation?
Andingetsho sisi, because it takes 2 to 3 days sometimes to respond. They don't come immediately. And we have a lady, it's unfortunate, who came early, ebezongicacisela bhethu ubusi, because she is the young lady osinceda yapha esitratweni oyena oye ayimele because ukuyenza into ze-EFF whatever, but andifuna uphosa ungoyena oye athathe ifone afone ayimele ukuze ize immediately.
Okay.
If it's not that, so mhlawumbe kufone mna I don't know, noba abaye ba-recognize bangubani, but abaye banantuze, but yena uput pressure more. And the lady on spaza shop, because of business yakhe, it goes slow a winter, so ungomnye umntu to make sure every day xa kwamanzi uyafona.
All right, Sissy, we really do appreciate your time. Siyabulela kakhulu. Well, Ayanda, as you've heard it, I'm just going to briefly, loosely translate for some of our viewers. Well, obviously she's talking about how they are affected every single winter, and that they do try to clean up the drains when it's not raining to avoid a situation like this. And she says they even went as far as to find someone to help them to try and empty out the drains, and even that did not assist them. And then I further asked her whether they get a quick response from the municipality in order to get assisted, because they normally get a truck to be deployed to the area in order to drain out the water. And she says they get a response roughly in about 2 to 3 days after lodging a complaint with the municipality. And so even people who run businesses, small spaza shop businesses, they also are, affected adversely, because patrons and customers are not able to access some of these spaza shops, which they normally access during the winter period. And so this is the situation, Ayanda. We'll continue giving you more coverage of the floods in and around the Western Cape.
Really troubling sights there. Atin Tongana, thanks very much indeed for bringing that story to us. She's live there to a rather flooded Khayelitsha in the Western Cape.